네, 다시 한번 안내 말씀드립니다. 잠시 후 오후 4시부터 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 개막식이 시작될 예정입니다. 온라인 참석자 여러분들께서도 접속을 유지하시고 잠시만 기다려주시기 바랍니다. 참석하신 내빈 여러분들께서는 행사장 안으로 입장하셔서 착석해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. The opening ceremony of the 10th International Electric Vehicle Expo is about to commence. If you are still outside the hall or if you are standing, please take your seat so that we can begin the opening. 오늘 개막식은 공식 언어인 영어와 한국어로 동시에 진행됩니다. 자리에 준비되어 있는 동시통역 수신기를 통해서 서비스를 받으실 수 있습니다. 채널 1번이 한국어입니다. Throughout the opening ceremony, simultaneous translation will be provided. If you need a service, please wear receiver placed on the table. Channel 2 is English. 온라인 생중계를 이용하시는 분들은 한국어, 영어 별도 링크를 선택해 주셔서 시청해 주시기 바랍니다. 원활한 행사 진행을 위해 소지하고 계신 휴대전화는 무음 또는 진동 모드로 설정해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. We really appreciate if you could please switch off your mobile phone or switch to the vibration mode. 네, 곧 행사가 시작될 예정이니 착석해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Expo. It is my great pleasure to have you all at today's expo.
대한민국 전기차 플랫폼을 이끄는 전기차 선도의 도시 제주에서 열리는 세계 유일의 순수 전기차 엑스포인 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 개막식 사회를 맡게 되어 정말 영광입니다. 10년이면 강산도 변한다는 속담이 있습니다. 우리 엑스포의 10년도 많은 변화를 선도한 순간들의 연속이었습니다. 올해는 국제전기자동차 엑스포가 시작된 지 10주년을 맞아 전기차 대중화를 선도한 빛나는 역사 위에 다양한 미래 이모빌리티로 엑스포의 지평이 확대되고 있습니다. 그동안 탄소 중립을 위해 따뜻한 관심과 동력을 함께 해주신 많은 분들, 여기 엑스포 현장과 또 온라인 생중계로 뵙게 되어 정말 반갑고 또 감사드립니다. 바쁘신 가운데 이번 엑스포를 빛내기 위해 참석해 주신 국내외 전기차 패밀리 여러분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 모빌리티의 혁신과 에너지 대전환을 향한 담대한 여정, Ambitious Journey for Mobility Innovation and Great Energy Transformation이라는 주제로 4일 동안 이어지는 제10회 국제전기 자동차 엑스포 개막식에 참석하신 여러분 모두 진심으로 환영합니다. 우리 엑스포에서는 글로벌 모빌리티 마켓을 확대하기 위해 다양한 모빌리티와 신재생 에너지, 배터리, 소재, 부품 등을 폭넓게 다루는 프로그램이 운영됩니다. 전기차와 전기 선박 등 이모빌리티 전시와 고품격 컨퍼런스, 비즈니스 미팅 등을 통해 기업들의 만족도를 높여드릴 것입니다. 미래차 시장의 비즈니스 활성화를 위한 실질적인 협력 네트워크 회장인 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 개막식에 바쁘신 와중에도 시간 내 참석해 주신 주요 내빈들을 소개해 드리겠습니다. 제가 한 분 한 분 소개해 드릴 때마다 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 먼저 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 공동조직위원장이시자 세계 전기차 협의회 회장이신 김대환 위원장님 소개합니다. 네, 오영훈 제주특별자치도 지사님 귀한 걸음 해주셨습니다. 문국현 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 공동조직위원장님 감사합니다. 위성곤 국회의원님 귀한 걸음 해주셨습니다. 네, 바쁘신데도 이용빈 국회의원님 참석해 주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 아말리아 아디닌가 위리안티, Deputy Minister of Economic Affairs, Ministry of National Development Planning of Indonesia, 인도네시아 개발기획부 경제부 차관님, 네, 잠시 후에 들어오시면 다시 소개해드리겠습니다. 최열 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 공동조직위원장님, 고영화 제10회, 죄송합니다. 네, 저기 계시네요. 환영합니다. 고영화 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 공동조직위원장님 감사합니다. 김일환 제주대학교 총장님 소개해드립니다. Your Excellency 다미르 쿠센 Ambassador of Croatia, 크로에시아 대사님 환영합니다. 최진영 헤럴드 코리아 대표이사님 와주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 가브리엘라 에들리히, Director of Communication, IEC. Please welcome her.
박수로 맞이주시면 감사하겠습니다.
에드문드 아라가, President of ASEAN Federation of Electric Vehicle Association 겸 국제전기자동차 엑스포 공동조직위원장님 함께해 주셨습니다. 샤레파 알부에년, Senior Feasibility Assessment Engineer, Public Authority for Industry Kuwait. Welcome. 네, 나중에 저 뒤에 계시네요. 환영합니다. Hilal Al-Gaiti, Director of Sustainable Energy at Authority for Public Service Regulation in Oman. Welcome. 방승찬 한국전자통신연구원 원장님 참석해 주셨습니다. Your Excellency 왕루신 중화인민공화국 주제주 총영사님 환영합니다. Your Excellency 다케다 가츠토시 주 제주 일본국 총영사님 환영합니다. Albert Lam, Group CEO of Detroit Electric Holding. Welcome.
환영합니다.
이태식 한국과학기술단체 총연합회 회장님 환영합니다. 마영삼 한국아랍소사이티 사무총장님 귀한 걸음 해주셨습니다. 여운기 한 아프리카재단 이사장님 와주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 김영집 한국테크노파크 진흥회 회장 겸 광주 TP 원장님 감사합니다. 네, 이쪽에 계시네요. Mel Huan, Chairman of IEVE Association of the Philippines. 이갑수 국방부 군수관리관님 환영합니다. 김성엽 덴포스 동북아시아 총괄 대표님 함께해 주셨습니다. 이주민 도로교통공단 이사장님 환영합니다. 손웅희 한국로봇산업진흥원 원장님 감사합니다. 오재학 한국교통연구원 원장님 감사합니다. 신용진 한국광기술원 원장님 참석해 주셨습니다. 강우현 탐나라 상상그룹 대표이사님 와주셨습니다. 박상철 호남대학교 총장님 감사합니다. 이진혁 대동 부사장님 네, 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 이중호 한국전력공사 전력연구원 원장님 함께해 주셨습니다. 강도형 한국해양과학기술원 원장님 환영합니다. 정연석 한국 UAM 협의회 상임회장님 환영합니다. 길홍근 한국전기선박협의회 상임위원장님 환영합니다. 박문헌 제주전기선박협의회 위원장님 소개해드립니다. 이상훈 한국에너지공단 이사장님 감사합니다. 네, 저희 전기차를 위해서 정말 애써지고 계시는 분이죠. 김선복 한국전기기술인협회 회장님 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 이주연 한국시스템엔지니어링학회 회장 겸 강원도 기업호민관님 환영합니다. 네, 마지막입니다. 고은숙 제주관광공사 사장님 환영합니다. 네, 정말 많은 분들께서 참석을 해주셨는데요. 시간 관계상 모든 분들을 다 소개해드리지 못하는 점 여러분의 너그러운 마음으로 양해 부탁드립니다. 자, 본격적인 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포 개막식에 앞서 글로벌 전기차 확대를 이끌고 있는 세계 전기차 협의회의 어워드 시상식이 있겠습니다. 세계 전기차 협의회 글로벌 EV 어소시에이션 네트워크는 28개국 67개 기업과 기관이 회원으로 참석합니다. 노력하고 있습니다. 기후변화에 대응하기 위해 세계 각국의 전기차 보급 확산에 기여하고 전기차 산업의 정책, 인프라 및 비즈니스 모델 등 정보 공유를 위한 플랫폼 역할을 하고 있습니다. 매년 전기차 산업의 발전과 탄소 배출 저감에 기여한 기업과 기관을 선정해서 세계 전기차 협의회 어워드를 시상하고 있습니다. 올해는 농기계 자율주행과 전동화를 선도하는 글로벌 기업 대동과 아세안 전기차협회 ASEAN Federation of EV Association이 수상자로 내정되었습니다. 여러분들 내빈들의 축하 박수 부탁드리면서요. Chairman Edmund Ar가 ASEAN Federation of EV Association 그리고 김대환 세계전기차 협회장님을 단상으로 모시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 먼저 Chairman Edmund Ar가 회장님 상장 읽어드리겠습니다. Gene Award, the Global EV Aviation Networks gives a Gene Award to ASEAN Federation of EV Association by valuing your contribution to the development of the ASEAN electric vehicle industry and the expansion of the EV market. May the second 2023 Global EV Association Network. Chairman 대환 김. 네, 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Please give a big hand.
네, 영광스러운 기념을 사진 촬영 잠깐 부탁드립니다. Please take commemorative photo. Look straight into the
잠시만
camera.
저희가 사진을 찍도록 하겠습니다. 카메라를
네,
봐주시길
감사합니다.
바라겠습니다.
Yes, Chairman, please go back to your seats.
그러면 자리로 다시 착석해 주시면 감사드리겠습니다.
네, please go back. Or you can wait so that I can call the next person.
다음 사람 부를 때까지
네,
계셔도 될 것
다음
같습니다.
순서 소개해드리겠습니다.
네,
대동
next.
이진혁 부사장님을
Mr. 이진혁
단상으로
Vice
모시겠습니다.
President of Daedong.
내빈
Please
여러분
come up to the
축하의
stage.
박수
Please welcome
부탁드립니다.
the big
주식회사 대동 전기차 산업의 발전에 기여한 공로를 높이 평가하여 세계 전기차 협의회에서 수여하는 상입니다. 수상 내용 동일합니다. 네, 그러면 Chairman Edmund Ar가 ASEAN Federation of EV Association과 대동 이진혁 부사장님 함께 기념 촬영하겠습니다. Please take a commemorative photo together,
그럼
all three of
같이
you.
사진 찍도록 하겠습니다. 세 분이 함께 사진을 찍도록
네, 여러분
하겠습니다.
큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to all the winners and the chairmen.
네, 이제 자리로 돌아가시기 바랍니다.
Please
Chairman, please go back to your seat.
네,
Thank you.
자리로 돌아가 착석해 주시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
앞으로 전기차를 비롯해 다양한 e-모빌리티 산업 발전을 위해 대동과 아세안 전기차 협회의 역할이 정말 기대됩니다. 다음으로는 이번 엑스포에 방문해 주신 귀빈들을 환영해 주시기 위해 제10회 국제전기자동차 엑스포의 명예 대회장이신 오영훈 제주특별자치도지사님의 환영사가 있겠습니다. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
네, 여러분 안녕하십니까? 저희 특별자치도지사 오영훈입니다. 세계 각국에서 오신 대한민국 방방 곳곳에서 오신 여러분 모두 환영합니다. 벌써 10년이 됐습니다. 강산이 많이 변했죠. 우리 김대환 공동위원장님, 모국현 공동위원장님 그동안 너무 애만이 있어 주셨다는 말씀드립니다. 전기차 보급 확대를 위해서 그리고 탄소 중립을 위해서 시작했던 전기자동차 엑스포가 벌써 10회째를 맞았고요. 이제는 모빌리티 혁신으로 에너지 대전환까지 선도하게 되는 그런 담대한 여정을 새롭게 시작하는 시기가 되었습니다. 제주도는 전기자동차 보급에 있어서 대한민국에 있어서 가장 선도적인 역할을 해왔습니다. 이미 2020년 2만 대 보급을 넘어서 2022년에 3만 대를 10월 달에 작년에 돌파했습니다. 전기자동차 보급률은 8%를 넘어서고 전국에서 압도적인 1위를 유지하고 있습니다. 이에 기반해서 카본프리 아일랜드를 만들기 위한 노력들이 지속이 되었고 재생에너지 발전 비율은 2022년 기준 19.1%까지 높아지게 되었습니다. 전국 평균 대비 3배에 가까운 그런 놀라운 수치를 보여주고 있습니다. 아마 출력 제어 문제가 아니었다면 이미 재생에너지 발전 비율은 30%를 넘어 40%를 향해 나아갈 수 있었을 것입니다. 최근에 이 문제를 해결하기 위해서 ESS 저장 장치 그리고 수전해를 통한 수소 생산의 문제까지 새롭게 접근해 나가고 있습니다. 그런 과정에서 그린 수소를 생산하는 그린 수소 경제를 선도하는 그린 수소 글로벌 허브 구축이라는 담대한 도전의 영역도 새롭게 시작해 나가고 있습니다. 우리는 전기 자동차에 있어서 자율주행차의 시범 사업을 이미 실시하고 있고 관광객들이 자율주행차를 타고 관광할 수 있는 시스템까지 만들어 놓았습니다. 이 자율주행차에 이어 이젠 어버에어 모빌리티까지 도시망공교통사업 UAM 사업을 제주에서 제일 먼저 하기 위해서 드론 택시를 제주에 도입하기로 하고 있습니다. 이미 한화 시스템과 SK텔레콤 그리고 한국공항공사와 컨소시엄을 구성해서 제주도와 업무 협약을 맺고 2025년에 대한민국에서 최초로 이곳 제주에서 관광형 UAM을 실현하고자 합니다. 그런 담대한 여정에 여러분들이 함께 성원해 주시고 응원해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 미래 모빌리티는 이렇게 전기자동차에서 출발해서 자율주행차 그리고 UAM을 넘어 우주산업까지 제주는 영역을 계속 확장해 나갈 생각입니다. 그런 과정에서 전기자동차를 통해서 만들어진 전 세계 우리 패밀리들이 제주도를 항상 응원하게 되고 탄소 중립의 미래로 나아갈 수 있도록 성원해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 내년이 더 기대됩니다. 이제 미래 모빌리티 전 영역으로 확산되고 탄소 중립의 역할까지 떠안게 돼야 될 것 같습니다. 김대한 공동위원장님, 문국현 공동위원장님, 유성곤 국회의원님, 이영빈 국회의원을 비롯한 내 외빈 여러분의 성원에 힘입어 제주는 미래를 위해서 달려가겠습니다. 여러분 감사합니다.
네, 오영은 지사님께서는 담대한 제주도의 미래를 그려주셨는데요. 최초의 UAM 상용화 도시, 최초의 전력 거래 시장 구축, 그리고 최초의 그린 수소 에너지 대전환 정말 기대가 됩니다. 잘 될 수 있도록 저도 기원하겠습니다. 네, 이어지는 순서는 위성곤 국회의원님께서 축사를 해주시겠습니다. 여러분의 힘찬 박수로 위성곤 국회의원님을 앞으로 모시겠습니다.
예, 네 반갑습니다. 제주 이곳 서귀포시가 지역구인 국회의원 이성건입니다. 이곳을 방문해 주신 세계 각국에서 오신 내빈 여러분 진심으로 환영하고 반갑습니다. 오늘 전기자동차 엑스포 대회가 10번째를 맞는데 감회가 새롭습니다. 처음 출발할 때 정말 조그맣게 출발했고 아무도 관심이 없는 과정에서 출발했습니다. 그때 우리 김대한 조직위원장을 비롯한 조직위원들이 다들 걱정하면서 출발했는데 10년 동안 무한히 성장하고 또한 전기자동차 산업 또한 많이 성장하게 되었습니다. 이제는 자동차는 전기자동차가 아니면 안 되어지게끔 되어 있습니다. 2030년, 2025년 이렇게 이제 내연 기관차를 종료하고 전기자동차를 생산하겠다는 업체들이 나타났고 그것이 세계화로 만들어지는 것 같습니다. 그동안 많은 애를 써주시는 이 김대한 조직위원장을 비롯한 조직위원 여러분께 감사를 드립니다. 여러분들이 함께 전기자동차를 만들고 육성하고 그러면서 지구에 있는 탄소를 줄여 인류가 살 수 있는 환경을 만들어가는데 함께하게 되어서 매우 기쁘게 생각합니다. 오늘 이 자리를 축하해 주기 위해서 함께하고 계시는 오영훈 지사님 그리고 이영빈 국회의원님, 유영식 전 장관님, 문국현 조직위원장을 비롯한 여러 내빈께 감사를 드리고 이곳 제주에서 힐링과 그리고 또한 즐거움과 재미를 만끽하시고 돌아가시기를 바랍니다. 축하드립니다. 고맙습니다.
네, 위성건 국회의원님 바쁘신 의정 가운데도 참석해 주시고 이렇게 따뜻한 축하 말씀해 주셔서 정말 감사합니다. 다음은 이 특별한 시간을
Next, I'd like to
맞아서
give the floor
이용빈
to Mr.
국회의원님께서
이용빈, who
축사를
will
해주시겠습니다.
also give us a
여러분,
congratulatory
이용빈
remark. Ladies and
국회의원님을
gentlemen, please
힘찬
welcome
박수로
Mr. Lee to
맞이해
the
주시기
stage with a big
바랍니다.
round of applause.
여러분 반갑습니다.
Ladies and gentlemen,
마을 의사
greetings.
출신
I'm
국회의원
a community
이용빈입니다.
doctor and I'm a
우리
national
이성권
assemblyman right
의원님
now. And
제가
Mr.
기후위기
이성권,
특위에서 간사로 모시고 열심히 하고 있고요. 우리 오영훈 지사님 의원 시절에 늘 저를 앞장서서 멘토로서 역할을 해주셔서 각별한 느낌을 가지고 있습니다. 제주를 더 많이 사랑하게 된 날인 것 같습니다. 저는 아직 초선 의원이어서 좀 보고 축사를 드리도록 하겠습니다. 이모빌리티의 다보스 포럼이라고 불려지는 올해 10회차를 맞은 국제 전기 자동차 엑스포 진심으로 개최를 축하드립니다. 먼저 엑스포 개최를 위해서 물심양면으로 애써주신 우리 오영훈 제주도지사님, 그리고 엑스포 공동 조직위원회 김대한 이사장님과 문국현 위원장님, 최열 위원장님, 그리고 우리 고영하 위원장님, 에드먼드 아르가 회장님께 감사 말씀을 드립니다. 오늘 이 자리에 함께해 주신 내외 귀빈 여러분 진심으로 감사합니다. 제주에서는 최초로 전기차 민간 보급이 시작된 지 불과 10년 만에 전국에서 40만 명의 전기차 운전자를 양산하게 될 정도로 지금은 전국에서 이모빌리티를 선도하는 지역으로 거듭나고 있습니다. 변화를 읽고 미래를 대비해온 제주도의 노력이 새로운 성장 동력을 만드는 지역의 입장에서 정말로 좋은 기감이 되고 있다고 말씀드리겠습니다. 제가 오늘 제주를 찾은 것은 청년이 떠나지 않는 지역의 내일을 위해서 정치인으로서가 아니라 비즈니스맨의 자격으로 제주의 성장 경험을 배우겠다는 결심을 하고 빛골 광주의 가능성을 전달하기 위해서 찾았습니다. 저희 지역 광산구 삼도동 일대에 미래차 국가산업단지 100만 평이 조성될 겁니다. 전기차, 수소차, 자율주행차, 배터리 산업이 집적되는 대한민국 미래 모빌리티 산업의 전진기지를 꿈꾸고 있습니다. 빛골 광주는 국내 최대의 라이다 원천 기술 지원 인프라를 보유하고 있을 뿐만 아니라 인공지능 중심 산업 도시로서의 경쟁력을 갖추고 있고 자동차 산업의 연계를 통한 신산업 확대에 주력하고 있습니다. 제주도가 탄소 중립 선도 도시로, 그리고 빛골 광주는 탄소 중립 중심 도시로 대한민국의 든든한 두 바퀴가 돼서 대한민국의 미래 모빌리티 선도 국가로 나가는데 이끌고 가는 기관차가 되기를 기대하고 있습니다. 이를 위해서 추격에서 탈추격 체제를 넘어서는 선도 국가로의 혁신적인 전환, 그리고 자율주행차의 국제표준 주도권을 확보하기 위한 선제적인 조치가 여느 때보다도 절실할 때입니다. 정부는 SOS랩과 스핀텍, 우리로 등 지역의 우수한 강소기업의 활로를 개척해주고 국내 기업의 시장 경쟁력 제고를 위해서 시험평가와 제품 인증을 할 수 있는 국가표준인증센터의 조속한 설립에 더 많은 관심을 가져주기를 촉구하고 있습니다. 제주의 비전과
And Gwangju will be part of it. We will share experience all together so that together with Jeju, my city can grow all together. I support your ambitious transformation of the island. Lastly, across the smart mobility industry to promote the ecosystem for the next year's expo, I hope that not just EVs but other electric bicycles. Actually, bicycles should be the culture of Korea, and please pay much attention to the promotion of EV vehicles as well. Once again, thank you so much for the participant and congratulate on the opening of it. I wish luck and health to all of you. Thank you so much for your kind listening. Thank you so much, Mr. Lee Yong-bin, for traveling such a long distance to join today's meeting. For the next year's expo, he said we'll also need to talk about the EV bicycles, and that is quite a good suggestion, and I fully agree with it. I cannot wait to see it. Next, Mr. Song Jae-ho gave us the opening remark, and let me read on behalf of it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hong Jae-yo, the National Assemblyman. I congratulate on the successful opening of the 10th Expo. This event would not have been possible were not for the support of Mr. Kim Dae-hwan as well as his staff members, and thank you so much for your hard work. This year's Expo aims to create a carbon-neutral island 2030, and various e-mobility industries, the future and the present of those industries will be talked. We need to move away from the EV-oriented talk discussion so that we can expand the concept of mobility into the field of ships and UAM, and it's my great pleasure to see the successful opening of it. So this expo has been encouraged by the remarks of Mr. Song Jae-won, and thank you so much for your remark.
네, 개막
With that, we'd like to conclude the first part of the opening ceremony. We're going to rearrange the stage for the special session. We are going to have a special roundtable discussion session on ambitious journey in e-mobility. So we are going to have a discussion on mobility innovation and ambitious journey for energy grid transformation. With all the distinguished experts, we are going to have special roundtable for the 10th IEVE. I can't wait to hear what kind of themes and content will be shared and covered. And co-chairman Mr. Cook them an ambitious journey. We have invited very special guests, and we are going to have a discussion session, and we rearrange the stage. So allow me to introduce the moderator and all the distinguished panelists one by one. If your name's being called, please come up to the stage and take your seat. And ladies and gentlemen, please once again welcome them with a big round of applause. First, co-chairman Moon Guk-hyun of the IEVE Organizing Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause. And next, President Go Young-ha of Korea Business Angels Association, and Chairperson Yoo Young-suk of Climate Change Center and former Environment Minister. Please come up to the stage and take your seat. And next, Director Gabriela Arielshi of the IEC. Please come up to the stage.
you want. 네, 좌석
Please take your seat wherever you want. 다음은 엘버트 램, 디트로이트 일렉트릭 CEO님 함께하십니다. And CIO Russell Lead of 10X Capital.
Association President 에드문 아르가 아세안 전기차협회 회장님 역시 please come up.
Please come up to the stage.
Oman Authority for Public Service Regulation Hilal Gaiti, Director of Sustainable Energy at Authority for Public Service Regulation. 오만 공공관리청 지속가능 에너지국장님.
And last but not least, over the last decade, he has been very committed to this event and he has made a lot of achievements. President Dae-hwan Kim of Global EV Association Network, please come to the stage. I'm so excited to hear their discussion, and I'd like to pass over the microphone to the moderator. Chairman Moon, please go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us today. Over the last decade, at home and abroad, so many partners and participants have supported us. Thank you very much for your support. And this round table is about reflecting what we have achieved over the last decade. Of course, not only with such congratulations or commemoration, we are going to talk about how you are going to help us for the next 10 years and the directions you want to go ahead. So we are going to have this special discussion for that end. 10 years ago, we started this very event. Back then, Tesla was not as famous as it is today. And once its market cap was $1.2 trillion up until the last year. So that was its market cap. And I searched and found that its market cap is about more than $500 billion. Of course, it's been plummeted, but still it's too high. And BYD, if you look at its market cap, it is twice as much as Hyundai Motor Company of Korea. Of course, we have been committed and we have made a lot of efforts together, but Korean companies have been holding this expo, but we have been a follower when it comes to industrialization, and Chinese and US companies have become leaders. So there are so many industries dealing with the climate change, but EV or battery, if you look at those industries, we have made a lot of contributions, but we need to look back together and we need to grow together with others. But German, Japanese, and Korean companies relatively have earned this advantage. So considering all the circumstances, Chairman Dae-hwan Kim decided to set the direction for green mobility and new mobility so that Expo could advance and develop going forward. So taking this opportunity, I'd like to ask Chairman Kim to reflect what we have achieved and give us 7 sticks instead of giving carrots first. Please share your thoughts. First of all, I'd like to say thank you all. And personally, I feel very proud that EV was introduced about 200 years ago in the 1800s. Still, there are many things to do when it comes to EV. And 10 years ago, we initiated this event. Back then, some said maybe an EV could go back, going uphill the Hala Mountain. So UAM or electric vehicles, electric ships, or electric agriculture machines. Now we are living in the era of electrification, so the history of the widespread use of electric products, of course the smartphone was introduced by the United States, but now we are one of the leaders in this market. So for the last decade, we have made a lot of achievements and we have had trials and errors, but now we achieved the widespread use of EV. So going forward for the next 10 years, from 30th April, the 11th Expo will take place. So we changed the name or the title. So with all the global EV families, we had General Assembly. So the 11th International E-Mobility Expo will be the new theme and title of this expo. So this is one thing that I have feeling very proud of. So we, as you mentioned before, we have made a lot of trials and errors, and regarding that, I'm going to come back again. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him one more round of applause. So this applause goes to all of you here today. By the way, Minister Yu, now you are chairperson of the Climate Change Center and you served as Environment Minister as well. While serving as Minister, if there's one thing that you want to correct or any comments or thoughts that could have been helped for this event. Indeed, about 10 years ago, I served at Ministry of Environment and EV part was the one that I really want to make some improvements back then. Going forward, EVs will be essential and the sector of EVs should be growing. And that was my opinion back then. but we were not able to make as much achievement as we wanted. So for some part, I gave up some making achievements. And this year's expo made me very surprised because the event has become a so large scale and it's been growing over the last 10 years. So it makes me even more delighted. And ladies and gentlemen, please give her one more round of applause. And following her, environment ministers designated Jeju Island as a EV pilot region. So initial battery production produced batteries were allocated a lot to Jeju. So with local governments and the central government, we need to go together once again. Please give her one more round of a big applause.
Now I think this is a turn for Chairman Nam. You have participated in this forum from the beginning, and you are the first one who introduced electric car, especially in Jeju Island. What was your plan at that time, and how do you think about your contribution to this Jeju IEVE, and what are you doing these days?
Thank you for the invitation. This is my 7th event. I've been attending every year, except for the last 3 years because of COVID. We're fortunate enough to attend the second IEVE event. And at that time, we actually launched our first car. It has come a long way now. The technology has come a long way. There's a lot more players now, as you can tell. I think the industry has been dragged onto this. The existing vehicle manufacturer has been dragged onto this because they have no choice. Because the sentiment of the consumer demands EV. It's not, earlier I did a presentation regarding the true meaning of EV, how much it saves in terms of greenhouse gases. But the key is that now most of the industry has been dragged onto this and present a very, very good opportunity for Jeju. Jeju is an ideal size, similar to Denmark, similar to Norway. If you are determined to make this island a 100% EV island, it can be achieved. It's because the size of this island will enable you to cover the whole island within one charge, without the anxiety of worrying about the charging. That's why we selected this place. We were hoping that in the future we'll be launching our vehicle here as well, and then using it as a test bed. Not just to focus on EV as such, we don't forget hydrogen fuel cell vehicle is the next big thing in our upcoming technology. So I think Jeju will become a very important area for the whole of Korea, is because you can use this as a test bed for the wider adoption of technological mobility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I want to ask Gabriella, you have been involved in standardization, especially in the safety area. And what is the current status of the standardization of an electric car?
Yes, so the IC is occupying a special position in terms of standardization of the whole charging infrastructure. And I remember vividly a discussion when Governor Won traveled through Geneva to go to Paris to present Jeju carbon-free island. And we talked about infrastructure, and he asked, how many different chargers do I have to install on the island? And we were saying, well, you're the regulator, you can decide. The standards exist. You can probably not put in place every single kind of chargers that there are. And in the meantime, I think worldwide, people have found an agreement. That's how it works with standards. to come up with a more limited selection of chargers. And I'm happy to say that today we have both fast and slow charging, DC and AC, wireless, swapping. So there's a lot of standards that are available. And we recommend, and we see that a lot of people follow our recommendation, to take the international standards which allow governments to benefit from the world market from suppliers worldwide. So yes, standards are available. We're working very closely with ISO, who is working also very much on the car. We have different elements of the car we contribute to. We work together a lot. And I think there is a very rich library of standards that are available.
Thank you very much. Is there any way to accelerate the speed of the agreeing to the global standards in this area?
It's an interesting question. Speed is always a matter of the wish of individual countries who participate of advancing standards. So it has got a very minimal, there's a minimal reason, a technical reason behind it why standards take a certain time. It has to do with getting to agreement. What we can say is when you have an international standard that has been agreed, it's worldwide, it's global. Everybody has already agreed, so it's much easier to put in place. Standards get much better the more people participate because all the needs can be built in from the start. But even, I would say, when a standard is not yet perfect, even if it's published, countries who want to bring in their own needs can still do that. And it can be added in the standard when it is updated. Standards are constantly updated. And speed by itself, we are told by a lot of industries that when you have an industry specification, that's usually the first step into deciding how you want to solve a problem. But we're often told that to have this global acceptance is equally important in terms of technical adoption of technologies. So speed is important, and it's industry who usually are the participants who decide how fast they want something, and we have special methods in place to accelerate production.
Thank you for your effort. And we have a special delegate from ASEAN countries, and he received a special award today. He's Edmund Araga. I think Edmund Araga may have a lot of suggestions or requests to us because he's following European country and American country, but at the same time, they wanted to accelerate their speed of electrification and adoption of electric vehicle and electric mobility. Would you share your thought and your plan?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. For the moment, at the moment, together with Chairman Kim, our advocacy on promoting the electric vehicle grew, and it evolves a lot. Now happened that e-mobility as to the boats being showcased outside, it's really a fantastic growth that it's not only on by land, that we may consider a mode of transportation of electric vehicle, but more so on the boat. As to the ASEAN plans, we have to experience and let the private stakeholders take the bite, experience all the nitty-gritty of things, and tell it to the government what are the things that we need to make an improvement. And in that way, we would be able to work together with the government. And that is our plan, wherein each and every member is trying to help the government, each country member government, to put in some regulations, put in some standards, put in a lot of things that is necessary, wherein we have to think of it like it's the same approach of what an internal combustion engine did way back when they established mobility as a transport for the four-wheel vehicle. Now, on the side of things, we are looking at the 2 to 3-wheel vehicle to be given an emphasis. Why? Because most of the ASEAN countries, these 10-member countries, can afford and can work on the 2 to 3-wheel segment, wherein the cost, the efficiency, and the practicality of using the 2-wheel and 3-wheel market would pave way on developing, and more people would better understand the benefits of using electric vehicle. So for now, we took it in strides. We've been on a decade of working together. Chairman Kim here is a witness, and all of us at the AFEBA membership leaders, we experience and help together what are the things that we can compare of and benchmark, what are the things that we can get and be of advantage, and what are the things that are not to be applicable in our country that we are belonging with. So it's a cycle of things that we have to, piece by piece, we have to took in strides what are the necessary and what are the priorities that we have to establish before anything else.
Thank you very much. We hope your plan to be successful. The sooner the better, I think. And I think you came together with your colleagues in the ASEAN country. Would you introduce your friends?
Okay. AFEBA consists of from Philippines, Chairman Romel Juan. Please stand up, be recognized. And from Malaysia, Electric Vehicle Association of Malaysia, Dato Dennis Chua. And our upcoming member is from Vietnam, Dr. Luan Tuan. From Thailand, I think he hasn't arrived yet. And from Singapore, he didn't make it at the moment. But tomorrow, Thailand representative, the Vice President from IEVE will be coming in. And our new member, Indonesia, hasn't been yet on the board. But next year, I promised to Chairman Kim that I would bring in these delegates to join the IEVE Expo.
Thank you so much for your commitment. And now, let me introduce Hilal Al-Khaiti from Oman. Please. Yes.
Thank you for the introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kim, for inviting us to this International EV Expo. As well, special thank to Mr. Bill Park for supporting us to attend this expo. I'm Hilal. I'm coming from Public Authority for Services Regulation. We are regulating electricity, water, wastewater, gas network sectors in Oman. So part of our scope currently, we are developing new regulations, standard specification for zero emission vehicles. We are not focusing only in electric vehicles. We are calling zero emission vehicles, where we are working on electric vehicles plus hydrogen mobility. We are already starting developing some hydrogen mobility together with Shell International and Shell Oman. We are currently undergoing through a pilot project to develop 2 hydrogen charging stations, plus bringing 15 hydrogen mobility or vehicles in the initial stage. When it comes to EVs, we are in a final stage to issue, as I said, regulation, standards, also specification for charging, for integrating the charging station to the grid. Plus also we managed to get the government approved some incentives to drive this change and transition, giving some tax breaks to basically cover the initial cost of EVs in the country. As well as I said, Oman, together with all Middle East countries, specifically Gulf countries, GCC countries, we all committed to net zero, either 2050 or 2060. Part of net zero targets commitments, EV or mobility, zero emission mobility is one of the key targets that we are focusing now. Collectively as a GCC countries, we have a GSO, the GCC Standardization Organization, which is basically working very closely with IEC to develop a common GCC standards. I think it's come moving from talking sustainability in general, all GCC countries, including Oman, we have very ambitious targets for renewable energy, as we do have a significant potential from wind, solar, and developing also. Oman has announced a very ambitious green hydrogen development strategy. We are now talking about attracting around 150 billion US dollar over the next 20 years to develop green hydrogen industry. Of course, green hydrogen industry that will support also the transition and decarbonization of the transportation sector for heavy duty, commercial, plus maybe using the green ammonia or other derivatives of green hydrogen to support also the ships and the transportation of vessels.
Thank you very much. We are very much interested in that new technology. And coincidentally this morning, chairman and the founder of a Plug and Play talk about that technology. And I think you'd better be connected between him and you, because he's very much interested in next technology replacing electrification. Yeah.
I think when it comes to the technologies, we are looking forward to have more cooperations with, I think, developed countries and our also friendly countries in Asia, including South Korea, to develop new technologies, manufacturing to our countries in GCC, specifically in Oman. We have very ambitious target also to bring foreign direct investments, and we have identified certain themes or pillars, mainly for manufacturing, green, also technology development in the country. So we are looking forward, I think, to get the experience. We are here today, first time to participate in the International EV Expo, to get also the experience of our colleagues from all EV associations and global network as well. Together also we are looking forward to build the new relationships and cooperation with all parties from all around the world when it comes to technology, specification, manufacturing, and all different of cooperation.
Great, great. I think collaboration will be happen. Yeah, thank you. Now, 저 고영하 회장님께서 우리
Then from now on, President Go Young-ha of Korea Business Angels Association, he opened a new chapter for this event. New economy, creative economy, and innovative economy have been led by him. 2,134 startups were discovered by him, and they succeeded. And he made a lot of effort to make them succeed. So with them, he started startup economy, and he invited more than 250 VCs to Jeju and had a meeting yesterday, and that was a very touching and moving event. And President Young-ha Ko, you have been watching this event for a long time, and what made you decide to add this into this forum? And you said that you are going to deal with the global climate issues as well. What made you think that? And I believe I'm here to just get what you have achieved, still kind of your achievement. So far over the last 10 years, President Kim have made great achievement. This is what I have seen in at hand, and there's one thing that that I feel a bit shame. The IEVE is lying on the present and the past. This is my opinion. So far, Korea has been developing as a fast follower. We have followed advanced countries. This is our strategy for economic advancement. Anyway, we have been doing great and well. That's why we have been succeeding this much. Now we need to become a first mover from a fast follower. Why? Because fast following economic growth strategy is seen by China, in China or in other developing countries. They are now adopting fast following economic structure. They are benchmarking our strategies and they are catching up us very fast. In some fields, they outperform us. That's why there are many things in our economy and we are seeing economic recession. And for sustainable growth, innovative economy, and we need to creative economy is needed, and we need to create something new as an innovative economy. To that end, startups will be the answer. So far, large enterprises have achieved jobless growth, and large companies cannot follow startup companies. Even though no matter how good technologies you have, since decision-making process is too slow in a large company, so large companies sometimes cannot innovate. But SMEs and middle market companies do not have enough resources, including human capital. So innovations, global innovations, have been led and conducted only by startups. So in the field of EV, there are so many companies with more than 100 or 200 years, but Tesla, founded in 2003, is leading EV innovation in the world. And as you know, ChatGPT, which is a buzzword today, this is an AI application. In 2016, AlphaGo was created and he had a Go match with champion Sedo Lee. And back then we thought AlphaGo or computer or AI can beat human in Go. But GPT-4, recently released, can be used by everyone. And AI has become democratized. So it is a kind of success. But if you look at the company OpenAI, that it was founded in 2017. It is a startup. Google or Microsoft, Facebook, and Naver, they poured resources for AI development. But despite such huge amount of investment, but the innovation started by a startup called OpenAI. So the pace of technological development is very fast. So innovations only come from startups now. And if you look at national competitiveness around the world, China and the United States are the two most powerful countries, and their power comes from startups. And the United States is outperforming China because they have startups like Tesla. So the importance of startup cannot be overemphasized. And now we are holding this event in Jeju, and I believe through incubation programs, the IEVE should talk about the future, not about the present and the past. We need to be able to propose future directions. And I believe that is the way for this expo to go forward. So I'd like to make some proposals. So to respond to climate crisis, IEVE should hold competition, global competition. This is one of my proposals or suggestions. Today we are joined so many experts and participants from all around the world, including Asian countries. Anyway, they are talking about the past and present. But if the IEVE is talking about future technologies to respond to climate change, or the event, the expo, invites companies responding to climate change and talking about future or proposing future directions, then the expo could be a venue for innovation. This is just my mere and humble suggestion. I believe you should be able to review my proposal. And I have a dream recently. That dream is about Korea having more than 1,000 unicorns. Currently, we have about 30 unicorns. But we need 1,000. Why? Because for us to create a new growth engine, we need 1,000 unicorns. And 1,000 unicorns is worth of 1,000 trillion won. And our GDP is 1,900 trillion won. It means the half of the GDP could be created by startups. Along with that, for the last 5,000 years, China, US, Japan, and Russia sandwiched us. And we have some geopolitical issues. And now we are experiencing another geopolitical challenges as well. We have to choose one side. But we need to be able to be independent without thinking too much about the United States or China. And the way to do that is create and have 1,000 unicorns. With 1,000 unicorns, the United States and China have to respect us. So if you look at the world, there are many other players other than the United States or China, other than not only depending on the United States or Germany, on China. Germany, with the population of 80 million, 1/4 of that of the United States, but they are speaking up when it's needed. And I studied how that is possible. And I visited Germany and found 1,600 hidden champions. Around the world, about 3,500 hidden champions. And hidden champion means a middle market companies with the sales of 500 billion won or 5 trillion won of sales. And those hidden champions have about 50% of the market share. So without them, the world cannot be operated. So there are 3,500 hidden champions in the world, but about half of them are located in Germany, and Japan has 280, and 90 are located in China, and more than 1,000 is located in the United States. So from now on, we need to discover startups with potential, and my goal is to discover 2,000 tech ventures. Then in 10 years, there will be 20,000. If you take it 5% of it, which is 1,000, if we are able to grow them as a strong startup by 2030, then by 2030, along with Japan, Russia, the United States, and China, we can be truly independent and self-sufficient. So that's why we need 1,000 unicorns. And having 1,000 unicorns is my dream, as I mentioned. So as I mentioned earlier, IEVE should host a global competition where young, talented people come to us for presentations. So from Oman or from Vietnam, talented people should be able to come to here so that they can compete with one another for good. Then the IEVE, I believe, will be able to make more contributions to human history. Thank you very much. So your passion and enthusiasm, and over the last 2 decades, you have talked about many trajectories, and I hope and I wish you a great success. I have two questions. Are you going to host this event next? Are you going to host this event next year in Jeju as well? And pitching sessions, more than hundreds of venture capitals will listen to pitchings today. Middle East countries or ASEAN countries and representatives, I believe, from those regions should be able to come to here so that we can host international pitching day. And I believe that is possible, of course. We need to be a bit more prepared for such international event. Then with the IEVE, we can throw up a first mover like competition that cannot be seen anywhere in the world. So young talented people with innovative ideas can be invited to here Jeju for a pitching, and winners would get rewards. This is how the event should be, and we need to create an environment where they can do business, and we need to support them so that they can start their own business here in Jeju. And of course, I liked Seogwipo city a lot since I was young, and it has been equipped with great conditions. So we need to create an environment where many young talented people feel free to do their business on their own. Then they will come to us, I believe, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him one more round of applause. Jeju, Korea, Asia going forward, the world can grow together by using technologies to solve global issues.
Very special guest. He's Chairman Russell Reed. He came from some the Middle East countries, and then suddenly he changed his plan to come to Jeju, and he made a great presentation yesterday and today, and I think he has a lot of wisdom and insight about the progresses we made during the last 10 years and the potential future. Would you share your thought, please?
Thank you. It is wonderful to be here. I have had the great fortune of being involved with Korean investment for a very long time. When I was at Scudder Investments and at Deutsche Bank, I led the development and management of the Korea Fund, which was the first practical mechanism for international investors to actually access the Korean market. That was 3 decades ago, and since then, my work with Korea has continued, irrespective of where I've worked. So I have been the chief investment officer of some large public investment funds. I was the chief investment officer for America's largest pension system called CalPERS, America's largest sovereign investor called the Alaska Permanent Fund, but also have spent quite a bit of time living and working in the GCC countries. And 10 years ago, at the beginning of Expo, I was the chief investment officer and deputy CEO of the Gulf Investment Corporation based in Kuwait. And fully 50% of our projects, of our infrastructure-related projects, were in partnership with Koreans. Korean infrastructure development has been very critical for the GCC countries, as it has been for the US. Notably, this also includes the infrastructure for electricity, for electric vehicles to come. In UAE, where I'm currently a resident, there has been the completion recently of a $20 billion nuclear project. That electric infrastructure from nuclear was indeed developed and initiated and installed by Korean companies. So what I see is something that's very exciting. The and that is a shift globally toward toward infrastructure related to electric vehicle development. Infrastructure is the next chapter that needs to be developed. It is multifaceted, and Korea is very well positioned to be a leader in that infrastructure development, not only, again, in Korea, but globally, certainly in the United States and across the GCC. So I am excited to be continuing my work with Korean companies and with Korean investors, with international investors on Korean technologies. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, thank you. I have two questions. Would you come again next year to this IEVE?
I have been wanting to come to Jeju Island for 15 years when I was an advisor for Korea's national pension system, NPS, and I've never made it during that time. So I am excited to be here today. I will be here next year.
And the second question is, will you work together with the Chairman Go to take the advantage of a global kind of a competition among startups on e-mobility here in Jeju and Korea?
I would. That would be a terrific idea. I would be honored to join the chairman in that effort.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much. 우리
So Chairman Kim, you must be very delighted because no one used any sticks but just carrots. So before we open the discussion with the floor, is there any comment you want to make? First, I'd like to express my gratitude to all participants. Actually, this year, this is the 10th anniversary, like I just said, and it was originally a week-long event, but now it is a 4-day-long event because we experienced the pandemic. We are having 200 sessions at this expo, and 50 times multiplied by 200 equals to 10,000. So we are joined by people from 15 countries, and this May, where flower blossoms, we are having 200 sessions, and we are paying 10% of the sessions, and 90% of the fund comes from either CAPCO or Robot Association, ATRI. These public research institutions are hosting academic event or Korean ASEAN Center, Korea Africa, Korea Europe centers. Those are institutions who are partnering with us. And looking back on, Bhutan, Nepal also chanted "Made in Nepal, Made in Bhutan," or "Made in Philippines" slogan. And actually, we had the same slogan chanting on the Udo Island near the Jeju Island. One charging can make you drive 500 kilometers, and in Kapado, the speed of the vehicle should be less than 300 kilometers per hour. In this time of e-mobility, major countries are not so dominant of this technology because this is such a decentralized area. Thank you so much. So going forward for the next decade, we need to think about what we will do for the next decade. And I think we received one suggestion for the future 1 decade. And actually, I have a suggestion as well. But before I make a suggestion, we are joined by the prominent leaders from all fields of expertise, the Vietnamese president and the president of Jeju University, and also researchers, scientists across the whole world are joining with us, legal experts. So we are joined by many prominent speakers. So if you have any suggestion you want to share, maybe I can give the floor to several poor people to share their opinions with us. And those suggestions will be appreciated by those 7 panelist members. Your suggestion will be very much appreciated. While you are thinking about your suggestion, maybe I can select 1 or 2 from the floor. Korean people are too shy and they don't just voluntarily ask anything, and that's what President Obama said at the press conference with the Korean journalists back then. And we're joined by President, like I said, and chairman, prominent speakers, and professors, business leaders. So please make some sacrifice for us. Who will go first? Who will be our first sacrificer? for the growth of IEVE and for the sake of ASEAN and Middle East, we need to fight all together against climate change. And to accelerate the speed of our fighting and to create a greater impact at scale, what do we need to do? So maybe a few suggestions from the floor? Okay, thank you so much for volunteering. I have a bad vision. I cannot see your face, I think. Hello, everyone. I'm from the Korea African Foundation under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm the chairman. Actually, this expo started 11 years ago, and my foundation started from 2018. So my foundation is younger, much younger than your expo, I should say. And also because of pandemic, we had some kind of hiatus for the last 2 or 3 years. So please allow me to introduce my institution first. Korea Africa Foundation aims to promote cooperation between the two regions. You just talk about the importance of startups and incubation programs, and we are doing such an activities as well. So maybe next year, if we plan to do any incubating activity, we I think, need to work together for the sake of the growth of African region to help the African startups and do some incubating activities on the African continent. Another thing I want to say is that if you see the market of African region, recently actually I had a chance to visit the AFC Business Forum, African Free Trade Business Forum. It was held in Cape Town in South Africa, and e-mobility was a core piece of discussion actually. And if you see the current trend of the African market, you might think that African is just a fast follower, but in this fourth revolution era, we are living in a same contemporary time of technology development. So we are moving in a same speed in a parallel. So that is something we should not overlook. Also, EV are running on the batteries, and as you well may aware, a majority of raw material for battery comes from African continent. Especially China is making heavy investment to secure as many raw material as possible in the African continent. So I think there should be some kind of naturalistic movement from the African continent, and they will put some embargo on the export. I can sense such a move. So instead of exporting raw material as it is, they plan to do first round of process before exporting any items to other regions. So going forward, the EV market will be affected by this move of the African countries. So that is something we need to also pay attention to. Also, of course, the size of the market in Africa is not that large, but in the 1 or 2 decade, African market will be as large as any other markets in the advanced countries, I have no doubt. I hope that your expo should pay attention to those changing trends, so please have a longer perspective and pay some more interest to the African region. Thank you so much for giving me this chance to talk. So SC, he kind of represented the Minister of Foreign Affairs and made some remark. And climate change, we need a collective effort to fight climate change. And I hope that you can make a great contribution to the cooperation between the two regions. And I think I need to enforce you to talk. For example, Mr. Lee Tae-sik, Chairman Lee, science, technology, society and federation has been led by you. I think I can give you more than an hour to share your ideas and thoughts. Why don't you just take the microphone and say something? What do we need to do to improve this expo to be the great contributor to the well-being of the global community? Thank you so much for giving me the floor. There is only one solution. Chairman Kim should be as healthy as possible so that he can be a chairman until he turns 100 years old. So please give him a big hand. Of course, Moon was a great supporter, but over the last 10 years, I have to mention Mr. Ko as well. Mr. Ko always said this, please stop talking about the past. anymore, but I have to mention it because the hard work you did for the past 10 decades and the increasing membership up to 50 countries had been possible thanks to all your leaders. Why don't we give a big applause to the overseas participants for their great contribution to this expo? So past is a past, let's put it that way, and let me talk about the future from now on. My wish is that membership has expanded from 5 countries to 50 countries. Likewise, there are 130 embassies in Korea. So within 2 years, I hope that those 130 all countries can participate in this expo, like as it is wished by Mr. Chairman, so that we can be the EV version of Davos Forum. And there is one solution to make it happen. Actually, this gathering is being held on the Jeju Island, but a majority of the participants are all Koreans, including North Koreans, and everyone needs to give a helping hand to improve the environmental tactics against climate change. I personally has been engaging in multiple activities so that I can build a house on Mars. So I've been working with on Mars so that I can escape when something happens on this planet. But at the same time, I hope that we can improve the EV technology so that we can still live on this planet. So if we can better the environment, EV, I think it accounts for 1.2% of the global vehicle market. I hope that this figure can grow as much as 10%. I have no doubt that it will happen. Thank you so much and congratulations on the expo. Thank you so much for your ideas. And actually, we are joined by the environmental activists who are at the forefront of environmental activities, and also one representative example would be this gentleman who are working with the companies for the growth of ESG. The fourth industrial forum and 5 or 6 business-led forum has been initiated by this gentleman for the social transformation. Mr. Chair, the chairman of the Environmental Foundation. So what do we need to do to improve this expo? Environmental Foundation has been sailing through in all aspects as it was said by the international community. What do we need to do to be the very version of the expo? What do we need to do to make the contribution to the global community? I think I'm too humbled to say anything at this forum, so I thought that I shouldn't say anything at this forum. But I personally believe that instead of having 10 rounds of talks, it is better to experience once. So experience speaks louder than discussion, I think. So experts, of course, they need to fulfill their own duties as an expert, but this is not just a matter of experts. So youngsters and general citizens need to be part of the solution as well. And given that, I believe that we need to have experience-based event. We need to have more of them. Exhibition has been, I have visited many exhibitions, and we need to experience multiple aspects of these changes to make the changes on the global scale.
So since it is the IEVE, so many people think hardware first. So once you see something, then you can feel it, and then you can think of what to do using software. So the theme, the title of the event is IEVE. So you showcase some electric vehicles, but because of the pandemic, we were not able to host. So that's why we started focusing a bit more on symposium and discussions. Of course, discussions are one thing, but practically we need to create experiential programs for visitors, in particular for youth, so that they can be creative and they can have more imaginations and they can think of what you need to do going forward. So that's one thing that I want to point out, to be more complemented. And to respond to climate change, we are now going electric and renewable energies, including wind farms and solar energies, but the planet has limited capacity. By 2030, by 2050, net zero goals were announced and declared by many countries, but people think that 2050 is a faraway future. And usually the government changes for every 4 years. So that's why the government is focusing on something that they can show off. So by 2030, we still do not have enough plan for 2030. So a few days ago, someone told me that the ship Titanic sunk so that so many people lose their lives. And there was a glacier in front of the ship. Since it was dark, the ship was on its track and path, and after finding and discovering the glacier, they had to shift quickly. They need to avoid fast. But while avoiding the glacier, the ship totally submerged. So by 2030, we have 7 years to go. And for the next 7 years, we need to prepare, which will be more efficient. But as we approach to 2030, risks would be higher. So this should be the theme of our discussions. So recently we need to go fast, but the government is not going fast. So that's why risks are going high. So severity must be promoted toward our public, and then we need to make shifts in policies. And with shifted policies, enterprises can go faster. So we need a comprehensive plan. As President Ko mentioned, through startups, we need to open up a new future. And then, to create a new future, we need to create experiential program that can trigger the blossom of startups. So we need a comprehensive and overall plan. Of course, it is the IEVE in Jeju, but it should be a larger scale event with some plans. So this is what we need to do for the next 10 years. If we do not go fast, then risks and costs would be much higher than they are today. We need to make it promoted so that people feel urgency. We need to find a way. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. So I believe you must be very desperate since you are an active environmentalist and you are working with so many international organizations. So that's why you have almost the same level or higher level of urgency than former Minister Yu. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him one more round of applause for his commitment.
Very poor in gender equality, but I could find a couple of ladies sitting over there. Would you please share your thought with us? Was anyone over there sitting there can volunteer to share your recommendation or thought with us? No? Please. 예, 마이크를 좀 갖다 드리. 이게
Please pass over the microphone to her.
대해서요. Sorry for this one, but in Korea open. Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. This is Zainab Lawati from the Authority for Public Services Regulation in Oman. Firstly, thank you for inviting us to this international exhibition. It was indeed a pleasure attending this and meeting our colleagues from different countries and with various experiences in EV deployment. We are really starting now with promoting the deployment of EV in Oman. And so it's really great if we're able to meet more EV manufacturers and EV charging equipment companies here in South Korea, so we can see the latest technologies and products available in the market that is appropriate also for the GCC market. I'm sure there will be a lot of products that are designed for the Korean market and maybe for the European market, but the GCC countries have a different climate, I would say, particularly, the weather conditions. So it will be great in the next year to see more Korean companies and products, especially in EV charging. But overall, it was such an amazing experience, and we're very pleased again to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gender diversity issues have not yet been solved in Korea, but anyway, you made your presentation, share your thoughts. Thank you very much. And the local government, on behalf of the local government and universities, I can see one representative, President Kim. He is a person of universities, and he has been leading innovation in universities. Please share your thoughts how we should change and the role of universities. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Congratulations, all of you, on the opening of the 10th IEVE. So holding a large-scale international expo itself is a miracle, since the island doesn't have any large factories. So I resigned from Vice President of GIST, and now Korea Techno Park is the company I work, and now I'm President of Gwangju Techno Park. So 19 techno parks are now in operation in major cities in the country, and for the first time, Seoul, Busan, Gyeonggi, Daejeon, Gangwon offices, from those offices present, have come to this event. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big hand. I'd like to make some proposals. And for this expo to succeed, corporate engagement is the biggest driver. And President Ko mentioned that VC and startups are joining us very well. And indeed, 19 techno parks, have been using 2.5 trillion won of budget, and we are supporting thousands and tens of thousands of companies. And with this as a key point, e-mobility companies should be able to join this event and pitch their presentations. And the expo should give prize for encouragement and innovation, so that participation will be more facilitated. Then the event will be much more successful. But if corporates are not able to join this, then we cannot guarantee the success of this expo. So please make sure to invite as many as companies possible. So we Technoparks will make sure to create partnerships to join your efforts. And when it comes to the role of universities, since I left the academia, so I'd like to, if it's okay, pass over the microphone to President of Honam University. Oh, he's not here. So with that, I'd like to conclude my remarks. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, we need to make sure there is enough diversity on the stage. So I thought a lot what I can give to the participants of this expo. So I started thinking what I did 10 years ago. And the moderator said before, now Tesla and EV companies are hugely valuable, and their size are very big. But that was not the case 10 years ago. Now carbon neutrality is an issue in Korea as well as the world. It is a global trend. So producing, manufacturing, and making EV widespread and tech development are very natural thing to do, but that was not the case at all 10 years ago. This is my opinion. And as I touched upon before, from 2011 to 2013, I served as Environment Minister. Back then, some of you may remember, from 2008 to 2013, President was former President Myung-Bak Lee. Back then, low carbon green growth was set up as a national vision. We have talked a lot. And Ministry of Environment, you may think, is not related, closely related to EV, but GIR, Greenhouse Gas Inventory and Research Center, to measure, report, and verify carbon emissions was established, and we fostered our capabilities and embedded in our institutions. And we have carried out a lot of activities to help companies reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So with such achievement, now, even facing with the great wave of carbon neutrality, we, Korea, are able to respond properly with enough capabilities. So carbon neutrality is what matters. And Mr. Choi said he is a godfather in the field of carbon neutrality or environment. And he desperately said the urgency. And recently IPCC published the report. And IPCC has 195 member countries, and scientists from all around the world gathered at the IPCC and to provide policy directions and evidence for climate change. It is an international organization. And from 13th March to 19th this year, in Switzerland, 58th COP was held, and the 6th assessment report was released. It states that we are in an urgent situation. And so far, after the industrialization, temperature rose 1.09 degrees Celsius, and our target is to limit the temperature rise within 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial level. That's why we started making the widespread of adoption of EV. But already the temperature has risen 1.09 degrees Celsius, and the increasing pace is faster than expected. So for a sustainable future of the planet, we have less than 10 years of time period to guarantee a sustainable future of the planet. And this is the reality facing all of us. It is a warning sign. And now we are at risk. And I thought I should and I must mention this. And he is now on his seat. But anyway, listening to what President Ko said, I found some hope. As he said, startup competition or pitching sessions, we need to make sure those are held frequently so that we can have many unicorns. And if we can be a leader by doing so, then we can make contributions to responding to climate change. This is the hope I found from his remarks. And while running the second round of this session, the moderator asked me to think about what we need to do going forward.
As well, listening to your question, I instantly thought of one answer. Competition is critical, but youngsters, university students, they should be part of all this discussion so that those discussions can be kind of part of their lives. So that kind of attempt will be very valuable, I believe. But my senior, Mr. Chair, already talked about the importance of youngsters by saying the importance of experience-based event. I fully agree with it. I advocate what he has just said. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please give a big hand to the former minister.
Tomorrow morning, there will be some kind of competition among university students for their vision and for their goals and strategy and business plan. And they will pitch toward Silicon Valley leaders. I think if you stay one night and if you can attend there, I think you can meet a lot of young students who are really eager to participate in this kind of transformation of these systems and the old regime. Thank you very much for your great the comments and the recommendation. Chairman Nam, I think you may have a lot of answers to give some kind of comfort to Minister Yu, because you are the expertise on new technologies and you have led all this kind of electrification during the last several decades. Would you share some of your latest thinking?
Yeah, I was just thinking while the guest speaker was talking about the government kind of initiatives. Global warming is a big problem. I'm overstating it again. I think we have people who is lobbying the government for environmental issues. But I think the key is that human being is not very good at reacting to distant danger. So if I say to you today, in 3 years' time, this room is going to catch on fire, you won't do anything. You were just sitting here, drinking water, listening to what I'm going to say. You would just sit here. But if I say that there's a fire now, I think every one of you will be outside of that door right away. That's the problem. The distant problem is too distant for normal day for us to worry about. So the education the government has to give. Unfortunately, is that if you look at the globe, I may be a little bit negative here. If you look at the global climate and the global economy, plus the way that the world leaders are cooperating, a lot of the stuff they are doing is just for show, for the voter to vote them into power. Whether they really have the intention to really make a difference is questionable. Consumerism, as earlier I touched on that, is the most important, the biggest evil currently facing us. It's because of consumerism, we have all this demand for more, better, faster. And because of that, we drive all this innovation and create an economy. But this is false sense of economy because the only home that we have got today is planet Earth. We're not going to move to Mars, sorry. And that's not going to happen. But because this danger is too far distant from us, we're talking about 2030, and I bet you $100 to a dime, no one is going to meet that target. It's because everybody is looking at themselves from the economic point of view. How can I capitalize on what the EV environment is doing, the EV trend is doing? Can I create industry? Can I create more employment for my people? So everybody is putting the dollar sign in front of them rather than an environmental sign in front of them. That's unfortunate, and that's human being. You cannot change that fundamentally because we've been educated like this. We are educated to compete, unfortunately. So the only hope I say is that start educating the next generation. Why do you have to have an iPhone 14 when your 11 is working well? Why can't you keep that phone longer? How about recycling? Really actively recycling battery, looking at ways to recycle. A lot of countries are adopting this now, sorting your rubbish. A lot of countries still not doing it, but some country in Asia is already doing that. So there's a lot of things government level can do. But unfortunately, it's all government intention. Even they have the best intention. Every 4 years, there's a government change, or 5 years, there is government change. Minister changes. emphasis different. They face different problem. They face geo problem. So I think what we can do is to educate the next level of the new generation, the university students, start educating them about the environmental issue that are facing us today. And it's real, because it's not going to affect me, it's not going to affect most of us here. It's because I'm going to be 6 foot under, thank you very much. I'm going to feed the earth, right, with my body. But let the university student do the next thing. The university lecturers can have a lot of impact in terms of educating people, in terms of educating how we can live better life and more environmental lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think the green consumerism is a very important one, and one of my friends is working on so-called PDC instead of NDC. Nationally determined contribution doesn't work well, worldwide. But if we can develop personally determined contributions, or family determined contribution, or class, or school determined contribution in a smaller group, then it will work. So this demand strategy will be much better, because that is more effective compared to this supply-oriented strategy, something like that. So I agree to your green consumerism, but we are really looking forward to see this global standard on electrification and the electric car, recharging, everything relating to this electrification. Would you recommend anything you like? Yeah.
Maybe end on a positive note. There is a saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I think what Chairman Kim did was he took one bite of the elephant, and we have to have a lot more bites out there. So I'd like to talk to you about an initiative that the IC is working on. I'm part of one of the task forces, which is the all-electric and connected society. Electric vehicles is just one part of it. Electrification of everything has to be thought through. We have to take technologies, and some of them are available, and make them used everywhere. If we talk about open fires, burning things, it's not the right way to do, whether it's petrol or other things. We have incredible technologies that are out there. Let them be applied. We know what it will cost us if we are not following through. We already know. There's no secret about it. That's probably one of the reasons why the SDGs and COP have really accelerated over the last years, because there's a lot of people out there who are starting to realize that not doing anything is worse than having to pay now for something so that it doesn't happen in the future. But anyway, so we'll look forward to eating that elephant with all of you. Bon appétit.
Thank you so much. And we have around 10 minutes left. And before closing, I will turn it to Chairman Kim for him to close. I think ASEAN countries are very productive and effective in collaboration. I was surprised at your comments you made at GENE, for example. I think you may have a better idea for us for the next 10 years. Why don't you share some of your thoughts?
Again, you mean to say is that
anything about international EV exposition? If you have any recommendation to let this IEVE to work better.
Okay. At present, the setup of the IEVE is doing good. It evolved already, in that it reaches a lot of countries in collaboration, in working towards the direction of government and private stakeholders are working. Now, as I heard it, there are some from universities that are also involved I can remember way back, like 5 years ago, I can see children who are also interested before during the exhibit outside the tent. I think the venue before is not here in ICC Jeju, but in the open area, somewhere near here. But you see that we have to let the small people, what do I mean the small people? Let the children knew what is the big difference of the benefits of using a very powerful electric vehicle. I mean to say, educate them, as what Mr. Lam said. It has to sustain the cycle of one generation to another. Meaning to say, the universities here has to have a program that would tailor fit on the small and to the middle class and to the upper class of students, no? That would greatly involve so that it would generate a new concept, a new forum, not only on AI, not only on proper technology, but more so, it has to have a good cycle. I think that in general, we have to get dirty, meaning to say, let's start from the ground. What are the key points that we have to learn whenever we made use of a certain item for us to apply it, and what would be fit best for the association or for the expo itself? There are things that we have to improve, and that the only thing is how to discover it. And by means of suggestions, by means of certain observation from each and every participants and from the stakeholders, what are the things to improve? That makes sense for us to get better as an IEVE Expo organizer. So in that way, we would learn from it. What are the things that we have to touch base? What are the other things that we haven't done yet? It's not only on the technical experts, but more so on the simple participants that we could learn more. And also from the universities, that students, especially the young ones, how to appreciate the transport system, the right electric vehicle that to use. Would it be the technology that would be looking forward to? So get the interest of all. That's it.
Thank you very much for your deep insight and the good recommendations. And Mr. Kaiti, what would be your recommendation for us to do better?
Well, I think, as my colleague Zainab mentioned, myself at least was expecting to see more manufacturers actually in the exhibition. Korean EV manufacturers, EV charging also manufacturers. I think I will totally agree with colleagues that startup is one of the key, I think, aspects we need to concentrate on having on this next versions of the IEVE. Plus bringing more companies. I think as much a mix between government, policymaker, regulator, market participants, market players, manufacturing, plus associations. I think bringing all together, that could also lead to a more beneficial dialogue and discussions.
Thank you very much. I think your recommendation will be taken by Chairman Kim, because many local people also complain about the limited exhibition, for example. While these international conferences are abundant compared to that international conferences, exhibit-wise, it was far inferior to their expectation. So there is a recommendation about that. I think he will take care of that recommendation. And as a last, Dr. Reed, I think you may have something to share with us to let it do much better than the last 10 years.
Thank you. I want to underscore a sentiment expressed by the ambassador a little earlier, and it reflects the importance of a region that is overlooked, that will be very important for the success of new technologies, especially EV. And that region, which is oftentimes overlooked, is, we refer to it as the Miaza region, Middle East, Africa, Southern Asia, the region comprising 88 countries from Indonesia through India, Middle East, and throughout Africa. These 88 countries, from an institutional investor perspective, have been largely overlooked. And there's a reason they've been overlooked. The benchmark stock index for investing globally is called the MSCI ACWI All Country World Index. And those 88 countries in the Miaza region are represented in a whopping 3.5% of that index. So institutional investors in places like the United States and Europe in general can look at that region and discard it, saying we want to focus on the 96.5% of the story, not the 3.5% of the story. However, as it turns out, that that region is much more important than that benchmark index indicates. That region, those 88 countries, represent 6% of total stocks in the world, 15% of the global GDP, a third of the growth in GDP, 52% of the world's population, moving to 60% by the middle of the century, and fully 100% of the world's population growth. It is not a 3.5% of the story. And as it turns out, the success of technologies is based on the strength of the contracts that you can secure. This region, the Miaza region, will represent a disproportionately important place to deploy technologies, including EV technologies. That's where significant growth is occurring within the world. And so I want to underscore that this previously overlooked region actually becomes sort of a centerpiece for the success of our ESG goals overall. Without success in the Miaza region, we actually will fail in the industrialized world and for the planet overall.
네, 오늘 러셀
And CIO Russell Reed made some comments, and director from Oman made some points, and we found out that there is something that has been overlooked, and we thought to increase more startup participation, but with the market companies and local companies, even though there is not enough space, we need to expand the space to exhibit and showcase more products from those companies. So I believe having quite relatively small space is our mistake we made. And Chairman Kim, why don't you give some answers to that comment and share your thoughts? Thank you very much for your comments. And reflecting the last 10 years, we have been holding this year's event. And about 10 years ago, if we put the word electric to the word vehicles, it was really interesting and it was really hot. But in 3 to 4 years, electric vehicle, the term of electric vehicle was omitted, and about 4 years ago, we started using the term e-mobility, not electric vehicles or EV. So carbon-free island was set up as a slogan, but in just a few months, the meaning of it has subsided. So if you look back the last 10 years, we have made a lot of mistakes and made achievements. So global EV family members And our family was created 8 years ago, and we had discussions. Of course, there are many things that we need to do more. And about in the 1800s, about 200 years ago, EVs were first introduced, and now we are writing a history of new EV. It is acknowledged by all of us. And with that in mind, we need to look back and we need to think future issues with more family members. So that's why we decided to have a special round table rather than having keynote speeches just like normal events. And I came here to Jeju 40 years ago. And the population of it has increased from 500,000, 600,000 to 800,000. It was very grateful, and we have many youth with talented potential, and we need to think how to change the province from 3 years ago. So the slogan of this year's event is Startup City Jeju. So 800,000, 900,000, and 1 million population. To achieve that, we need to make sure to create an environment where youth can do their own businesses as startups. We need to create a hub for startup. That is our responsibility as well as a duty. That's why we are holding this event. Of course, we need to do more for some parts. So as Chairman Moon mentioned, whether we throw up a tent or whether we go to the ocean, we need to secure more spaces for exhibition. So going forward, I will make sure to be with you. And South Korea, Korea has been a leader, and also former Minister Yu mentioned that the EV adoption was 1.5% as of last year, as of the last year. And the figure for Jeju is 8.5. It's almost double digits. When it comes to global distribution, EV distribution of the world is just 0.1%, and our goal is to achieve 20 to 30%. So we need to step ahead, going beyond EV. So electric ships, UAM, electrification of agriculture machines, and autonomous driving. For those themes, we prepared this event. I believe that is the meaning of this event. And we'll make sure to reflect your comments for the next 10 years. Thank you very much for your comments. And once again, thank you. Thank you very much all. Thank you all for joining us for the last 10 years. And for the next 10 years, we should be moving faster, and we need to go together with other institutions as well. Once again, thank you very much for your participation and commitment. Thank you very much. Chairman Moon, thank you very much for moderating the session. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause as a sign of appreciation. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you find the event? Was it informative? We prepared a lot for the opening ceremony to show you how the event has evolved and developed, share the meaning of the forum, and envision a future going forward. With that, we'd like to wrap up the opening ceremony for the 10th IEVE under the theme of Ambitious Journey for Mobility Innovation and Great Energy Transformation. So we'd like to conclude all the events. And once again, thank you very much, EV families joining us online and on-site. So this will lead to the beginning of the event on a major scale. And to commemorate today's event and make this a chapter of Expo history, we're going to have a commemorative photo.
Seating, please come up to the stage. 네, 내빈 여러분들 모두 기념 촬영을 위해
For commemorative photo session, please come up to the stage.
개막식
And the meaning of this event is very huge, and to make this as a chapter of history, we are going to have a commemorative photo. Please come up to the stage for commemorative photo.